What's going on, guys? I'm back with another 31 Days of Halloween review, and today we're going to be doing the 2017 version of It. 7 young outcasts in Derry, Maine are about to face their worst nightmare, an ancient, shape-shifting evil that emerges from the sewer every 27 years to prey on all the town's children. Banded together over the course of a horrifying summer, the friends must overcome their own personal fears to battle the murderous, bloodthirsty clown known as Pennywise. So right off the bat, I need to start off by talking about Andy Muschietti's direction, because it's at the top of the bill when you talk about positives of this film. It was very well shot, having countless memorable takes, coupled with this great color palette to complement the mood they were going for in each scene. When Pennywise isn't around and everything's just normal, Muschietti would just use natural lighting, but when there's something dark going on, he'd incorporate these deep reds and blues and greens and yellows and grays and blacks and browns to really enhance that mood and eerie tone. I really appreciated the amount of style that went into the shot selection in this film, particularly with the one-takes and sweeping shots, where it added so much personality. Then you couple that with the good editing, it only helps separate itself from the pack, so it doesn't come off as a stock horror film, sort of like the original It miniseries does. When it comes to the story, I give this film a lot of credit, because for my money anyways, too many horror films, you kinda get either or. Good characters or a good story. But this film does a great job giving us a great blend of both, a great story driven by the characters. Damn, this review is going to be tough to do trying to differentiate the title It with the word It, so just bear with me the best you can. But it did such a good job staying true to the source material, for the most part, doing a wonderful job adding all the good parts of the novel in, and leaving most of the weird stuff out, although it certainly did have its Stephen King-isms, if you will. Straight away, the film does a really good job establishing our characters and why we should root for them, while also blending in all the moving parts that add on to this plot so well. The film almost felt claustrophobic at times, giving the audience no time to breathe, but in a good way, keeping us engaged and in the loop the entire time. When it comes to the characters, they were basically the backbone of the film for me, where all the kids were super charming, likable, and super duper funny. They did such a great job casting proper 13-year-olds to play 13-year-olds, so everything felt genuine, from the conversations, to the banter, to the reaction to things, and so on and so forth. All the kids basically had seamless chemistry with one another, almost feeling like they'd been friends for ages. Bill, played by Jaden Martell, is a great lead in all this. His character easily could have been as tropey as can be, but the writers knew exactly what they wanted from him, giving Billy the worst backstory and trauma to face. He was a decently fleshed out character as well, while also bringing in this great heroic quality, really fulfilling that leadership role. Beverly, played by Sophia Lillis, I think that's how you pronounce her name anyways, so if I'm not, I apologize, probably had the second worst backstory, as in like traumatic wise, not written wise, where the creative team did such a good job diving into the nasty traumas that she faces. But it didn't stop there though, where she easily could have came off as a pity character in a way, but the writers also gave her a good role within the friend group as well, helping weave all the boy characters together. Now for my money, Ben, played by Jeremy Taylor, is one of the easiest characters to invest in, although his backstory is a bit simple and tropey. He was that new kid on the block style of character, no pun intended, where he was the fat kid that just got bullied, but it's also the way he acts as well that makes him such a good character. He's almost underrated in a way, with the amount of weight he brings to the group as well. Although Richie, played by Finn Wolfhard, didn't really have the deepest backstory, I thought he got all the best lines, really hammering away at that comedic timing, where he was probably my favorite character of the bunch. His delivery of the lines were so well done, he had me cracking up almost every time he opened his mouth.
Doesn't smell like caca to me, senor.
Now with Eddie, played by Jack Grazer, he was a good mix of all the characters. He had an okay backstory to get invested in, while also bouncing off Richie's character so well, with the comedic timing and bits of banter that they had. Those two together stole nearly every single scene.
Street Fighter. Is that how you want to spend your summer? Inside of an arcade? Beat spending it inside of your mother.
Another fairly good character, which was pretty surprising, was the bully, played by Nicholas Hamilton. Usually bullies are pretty one note, but Muschietti brought his character a step further and gave him substance with a pretty crappy background as well. His character can sometimes feel unnecessary, and sometimes just feel in the way, where it can drag on the story for a little too long, but he's certainly a necessary addition to the source material, while also bringing an extra layer to the plot. But after all that chat, the backbone of the film was definitely Bill Skarsgård as Pennywise. He was absolutely tremendous as the character, adding so much depth to the film. He was a forceful presence when he was on the screen, to the point that when he wasn't on the screen, you could almost feel that he was in the shot somewhere. He added so many great layers to the character from Tim Curry's version, like the way he can contort his face, the way he fluctuates his voice, the way he'll drool. All these things give this character so much more of a boost. The characters were great, but they really wouldn't be nearly as good as they were if it wasn't for the tremendous writing that the film has, which I already hinted at earlier. The bits of banter they all had were truly gold, really selling you on them being real friends, where sometimes it felt like he was trying to create this aura to make you feel that you were there with them. It's so easy to put yourself into their shoes, always making you think back to all the times you had with your friends at that age. Alright, let's just say the comedy and the friendship didn't work for you. Either way, you gotta tip your cap to the way Skarsgård's Pennywise was written, because it was absolutely diabolical. Every piece of dialogue felt truly menacing and convincing, really selling the role so well. I thought the way everything was written was well balanced, keeping the tones in check, and pushing the humor and scary bits in proper order. Although I've yapped about this film for this long, with it being an absolute breath of fresh air, unfortunately, it wasn't perfect. One of my biggest positives of the film is also one of my biggest negatives, and that's with the characters. Even though they had tons of fun and add so much personality to the film, they can certainly come off as cliched characters at times. Just for a few examples, you have the fat kid that gets made fun of, you have the slut girl that everyone mislabels, then you have the color kid that gets picked on, and so on and so forth. To back onto that point, I know the source material called for all the characters, which was fine, but some of them fell to the wayside, like Mike and Stanley's character. They all had small backgrounds and maybe one solo moment to shine, but outside of that, they were mostly there because they had to be. My next issue was the plot conveniences real throughout the whole film, especially that third act. Simply put, some of the things didn't really make much sense. You can tell Muschietti tried to stick to the rules as much as possible, but he certainly had to bend them a little bit more than a few times. And my last smaller issue, for a horror film, it definitely had its elements, but overall, it really wasn't all that scary, was it? Overall, some issues are bigger than others that are a bit hard to sweep underneath the rug, but a lot of the positives override the negatives because this film is great. It gets a very firm 7 out of 10 from me. Let me know what you think of it in the comments below, and let me know what film you'd like to see me review next. See you guys on the next one.